All right, good people, what's going on? This is another Locker Room special with Big Matt. Hey, we got a special guest coming on here from Primetime Sports Network, a link that we have linked up with here, and we cover kind of all SEC and stuff. Jake is over here. He is over in the big heart state of Texas, and he is Primetime Sports Network for Texas A&M. And guys, we just kind of wanted to see, what the heck's been going on out there, and what better way to get it than just boots on the ground right out there in Texas. So, Jake, tell us a little bit about you first, and then we're just going to get right into it and break it down and talk about the Aggies.
Thanks for having me. So like I said, I run the Primetime Texas A&M account. I've been running it since about August. Not really a very good week to be an Aggie fan. Seems like we've been kind of dragged through the mud a little bit. Been tough with the Denver Harris video, the big loss, and then our yells going viral. But thanks for having me. Great to talk to you all this weekend.
So being out there in the big state, now last week, everybody knows we don't really have to talk about it, and if you don't really want to, but
no, we can talk about it. It just seemed like it was the perfect storm. The ball control football, defense not getting off the field. I've been a big Haynes King supporter. Been very quiet this week after that assertion, just because I thought he was going to be the truth. And
yeah, tell us more about him in that game. I mean, how many he wound up with 100 and something yards. Didn't seem like you throw the ball real good. What's the take on that out there with him?
I don't know. I like to say it was the offensive line just because that's, the easy one to blame, but he really wasn't hurried that much. He had 2 fumbles. It just seemed like he was kind of flustered in the pocket. I know that sometimes he throws that really good deep ball. It seems like he was thinking too much and just not reacting. And it'll be interesting to see who Jimbo kind of rolls with this week, if it's Haynes King or, Max Johnson. Like I said, I think I'm kind of off the King train. I really want to see Max Johnson.
Yeah. Covering Max this summer when I did the SEC Media Days, I did a big thing with Primetime Sports Network for SEC Media Days. So, and hearing the talk about him and just kind of feeling the vibe about it and listening to some people, out that way, Max Johnson, I don't think the race was that far apart. I think him and King's race was pretty close, and he may have, flipped a coin to, to pick see who started the game. So, what do you like more, I guess, about Johnson?
The thing that I really like about Johnson is just how he kind of manages the game. It seemed like at LSU, the thing that he did really well is when he had time in the pocket, he delivered it. He seems to make all the throws. And I know that they probably rolled with King just because King's a better athlete. I think it said they ran at 4.4, and, he's right up there with A-Chain. So he's one of the faster people. But, when you're getting 4 carries a game and you're only getting 27 yards and, you're fumbling a ton, that almost kind of eliminates that running game. And he doesn't seem to want to run the ball as much as, I would have liked, or I guess as Jimbo's doing. And if we can run that pro-style offense with Max Johnson, and Max Johnson can make all the throws and kind of distribute, I'm much happier going with Max Johnson.
Yeah. He's definitely not – neither one of them is a bad choice, but like you said, King he's a runner, and maybe that's – maybe Kirby – the other assistant. Maybe Jimbo knows that, he does have some bad spots on the line up front. And maybe that's part of the plan. He's going to be like Bryce Young. I guess you just put a guy back there that can run for his life since he's going to have to anyway. Now Chain is a freaky playmaker. He's big on my book. I mean, I think I had him probably 3 or 4 in my top 5 running backs out during the summer when we was doing top 5 players, receiver, running backs, quarterbacks type stuff. Tell us about the defense.
Get the ball. He just doesn't get the ball, I think, before we get to that. That's the part that's so weird is, he's probably one of the best running backs. I know Texas fans were clowning me when I was saying this over the summer that he was better than Bijan, but he's one of the better running backs in the country, and he scored that touchdown. He's faster. I think that's the part that always gets me is he's faster, and Bijan kind of gets to go against that elite talent, but that's a different conversation. But he's just not getting the ball, in my opinion. He's scoring a touchdown, and he doesn't touch the ball the rest of the second half. I just think that's the part that's so weird with this offense with Jimbo is they have the best athletes, I think, on the field with the 2 teams they played, and even to some extent Miami with him and Aniyah Smith. It just doesn't seem like they get the ball enough. There's just not enough to go around. They almost have – it seems like at Jimbo's disposal they almost have too much talent, so they can't spread it around enough. And in return, A-Chain and, like I said, Aniyah, they're just not getting the ball enough. I think that's kind of been the biggest problem.
Yeah, now – we look for bigger things from the defense, and I remember going back through some things this summer and looking at the defense from, corners and different packages that they play. Now, we was talking about before the show about some of their younger players this big recruiting class that come in. I think that's what's got everybody hyped up, Jake. I think everybody's so high on the recruiting class itself that they forget that not all those guys are playing right out of high school. But tell us some more about those.
Yeah, I think Denver Harris has kind of been the big one that's been playing, but you got to understand too that we did break in a new defensive coordinator the last 2 years. We got the guy from Ole Miss, so there's kind of, I think, been a bit of a learning curve. But I mean, at the end of the day, when you're on the field 40 times a game and you only score 17 points, I know the defense, wasn't getting on the field off third down, but I almost consider that a success. Like when you're playing a team like Appalachian State, you have to get more than 14 points. You have to convert on third downs. The defense got tired. You could tell it at the end. They got gas. They're just getting the ball ran down their throat. But I do want to see more from the defense just because it felt like our third down defense wasn't very good. We were getting them in these great positions, then just not finishing the drive. And I don't know if it was, because of scheme or stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was the part that I think I want to see this weekend is just our third down defense to get a little bit better.
Yeah. Now, moving on from the loss there, and it is what it is, and things like that happen. But moving to this week, guys, they got Cristobal coming to town. Cristobal is an old line guy. He's back around his hometown, kicking around down there at Miami. He's going to be good up front. I mean, an old line coach, he's going to be good at usually where they play. So I'm very curious to see what he's going to bring to town as to go along with your comment there, about how their defensive line, how they're going to line up and try to stop Van Dyke. I think he's a good quarterback. I liked him last year. A lot of people didn't give him a lot of credit. I did. I think he had 300 or 400 yards on the past week's game. Now I know they played.
Yeah, and they played Bethune and then Southern Miss. So it'll be really interesting. They almost have the OU syndrome where we don't know how good they are because they played just these bad teams. But I've been very high on Van Dyke, and then Jake Garcia too. Their backup quarterback's really good. So if Van Dyke's pushing and behind him up front in front of Jake Garcia, you know that he's going to have a lot of talent. And yeah, Miami's going to be a very tough game. This game really worries me just because, it's right before the SEC season and, it's top 25 matchups, so you're not really looking ahead. But this isn't really an easy win. And I know that a lot of the A&M fans are saying the sky is falling, and some people have said, A&M will be lucky to go 1-7 the rest of the way. I think this will be I did see that. Yeah, I was just saying.
That's not true.
I don't think it's true. And in my opinion, A&M always plays better as the underdog too. I mean, basically my entire life, when A&M's supposed to be good, they're bad. And then when they're supposed to be bad, they're good. But it'll be a really tough test. I think this will kind of tell the story of the season. I don't think our Appalachian State, I almost think that was an anomaly with how they kind of played, not getting the ball in the plays. I mean, with this Miami team, Mario Cristobal is going to line up, beat you with the best he's got. He's not trying to play, smash mouth clock management football. He's going to try and win the game with his athletes. So this will be a great indicator to kind of see where we are. And yeah, A&M's kind of struggled in the past against, elite quarterback play last year with Corral. And then, Bryce Young kind of tore him at the end. But it'll be really interesting to see kind of the scheme on defense that they want to go with.
Yeah. As fans, and we're all fans of teams, to watch and to cover the game. And I think there's always those expectations and today of how people are and kind of how the world is. They beat Alabama last year and people's faces are melting off in the stands and running out on the field. And, it was a big thing. And then they have a huge recruiting class and they come out and they drop this game here. And I think some of it had to do with some of it's just coaching. So I'm curious, like you, on this defensive line, they're going to put 3 down on the line, or they're going to walk another guy up, or they're going to try to, cause Van Dyke to try to scramble and move. And then the number one thing in football always, it's just about adjustments. And those elite coaches are the ones that adjust on the fly during the game. So I'm curious to see, Jimbo's been doing this longer than Cristobal. He has more experience, and he's from the Saban tree, just like Cristobal is. It seems like everybody from somewhere has come from Alabama somehow. So I am curious to see how A&M's defense lines up. Are they going to try to shoot gaps with linebackers and just run right at him? Jimbo can be aggressive like that, but I think he's more of an offensive minded kind of guy, and just how he plays. He's kind of the quarterback coach. I think A&M's, they're favored by 3. Is that right?
I think it was 3.5, which
I
think statistically speaking, I think you get 2.5 if you're at home. So it's just about as even as a game as you can get. And yeah, I really like it when we kind of do a lot of exotic stuff. Like I know when we did with Alabama, when we walk up 6-7 and then drop people out. I think that's where we're at the best. And it almost feels like at times Jimbo doesn't want to show film, and I think that that's kind of a bad problem to have, because I think you should be trying to win every single game and not thinking about stuff. But I really like what we did last week with kind of the platoon and rotating people out. I think that's kind of the best way, because, Walter Nolan, while he is this stud freshman that's probably going to be drafted, first round talent, he is still a freshman. He probably hasn't played this many meaningful downs back to back where he's having to, give 110%. I'm sure in high school he could not necessarily take plays off, but he could just dominate with his strength. So that'll be kind of the real story of it, is how, kind of these freshmen, how they get in shape. And then on the back end, A&M secondary is one of the best in the country.
Yeah.
They have to play like it. Denver Harris, Johnson's going to be a first round guy. You have to play like it. And it seemed like at times, 3rd and 8, when that is, your money passing downs, that, people were getting open. And that really is the thing. But I'm going to be very interested to see the scheme. I think we're probably going to go with a lot more nickel sets, just because Van Dyke can sling it a lot more than anybody we've seen.
Yeah.
But that'll be really interesting. I bet you we go 3 down and rotating people out.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, it's good having you on. And we're here with Jake from Primetime Sports Network, Texas A&M portion. And I do the SEC part, kind of cover all the leagues and all the teams in the league. And, it's just a way for us to try to build a platform for us to stand on and maybe to become our own and doing our own thing. Now, we had already been accumulated we already have a show, the Matt Todd Show, and we're on every Sunday night, and all our people know that. So before we get any more schedule, let's talk about you and do you do like a podcast on the side? Tell people on here how they can get you, because we have people from all around. I have people watching from Louisiana up to Kentucky, and maybe I'm sure there's A&M fans. So if they want A&M news, they need to be able to find you. So where can they find you at?
Yes, sir. The Primetime Twitter is kind of the big one, where I tweet a lot of the A&M news. And then when baseball season rolls around, I do a podcast on that called The Weekend Rotation, where we kind of do a deep dive into all the SEC stuff. We're kind of in the works right now about doing a podcast, but it just seems like it's so oversaturated. And if I'm being honest, I really didn't want to do anything after last week and that App State game. I kind of wanted to just crawl in a hole and think about maybe the NFL for a little bit. But
yeah,
there's stuff in the works right now. And, as the season kind of progresses and stuff like that, we get into kind of, these bigger SEC games, definitely looking to do some stuff on that aspect. But definitely the Primetime A&M Twitter is going to be the best place.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, just from my experience and doing it for years, if this is what you enjoy doing, obviously do, and obviously you know what you're talking about, just do it, man. Just don't wait for the right time. Just go out and start shooting videos, and just be the main thing with any of this stuff is just be consistent. You already know your content. We can tell that. We've been on 10 minutes and I can tell already. So you know what you're talking about. If you just go on and probably put out, one day a week, like on a Thursday, just go on and do a 10, 15-minute spot about maybe the week before and what you like about the week ahead and everything else, and God will bless it. And you just keep all that right there together, and it'll just start working. And you can bring other people in. You start meeting people. So, I mean, obviously you like doing it. So I'm just telling you to stay fired up about it and don't give up on it, and just keep digging at it, man. Because just being consistent. Everybody thinks they need a $1,000 camera and I need the $500 lights. And I got a lot of stuff here. We've been doing this for 3 years, and I've worked my butt off and spent a lot of my own money, but just get at it, and don't let nobody tell you that you can't, or don't talk yourself out of it. You know what I'm saying? Just be confident and do it. And just go out there and do it. I mean, heck, what do you got to lose? I mean,
yeah, I'm already talking about A&M sports all the time. Might as well film myself doing it.
Yeah, I mean, just set you a timer and practice. And you like StreamYard, we talked about that. It's real easy. Put your timer there, 15 minutes, and you can record and you can delete it and go back and do it again. Okay, I didn't like how I introed there, and I want to do something a little better. So, yeah, hey, man, there is a lot of oversaturation, but if it makes your heart happy, man, this is what God gave you a gift to do. Use those gifts, man, that God gives us, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. And mine's talking, and, obviously that's what I'm doing now. So, with that being said, move ahead they'll be at home again next week, correct, on the 24th. They got Arkansas.
I think they're the designated home team, but the game's in Jerry World, and I'm really excited. Right. That one's going to be a night game. I want to say the first night game we've ever had against Arkansas. That's in Jerry World.
It's in Arlington. Yep, it's in Arlington.
Yeah, that one's usually that 11 a.m., which is just a terrible time, because luckily Arkansas is good too. That's the part that's been so frustrating, is it seems like Arkansas has always been bad. But I'm really excited for that game. Arkansas is another team that they were very high on this year, with the pit boss and everything, and a little bit back, kind of, so to say. I know that Texas kind of always steals the Texas is back, but Arkansas is going to be a tough game. And
they are.
And looking ahead, Mississippi State's, I mean, it's going to be a very, very uphill battle for A&M. I really think the only kind of question mark they have down the stretch here is Ole Miss. Everything else is going to be a tough game.
I'll read through this for everybody watching Miami this week. Dude, that's no give me. I'm telling you, personally, I'm not too far against to say Miami maybe couldn't win the ACC. I don't know. I mean,
they're
Clemson,
my favorite, yeah. Especially with how Clemson's looked, yeah. I mean, I think it'll be Cade, but I mean,
he's not good. I don't like him, DJ. I never have. I never thought he was good
either.
And then the next week you're gonna have Arkansas at Jerry World. Then you got Mississippi State to start the month of October, and guess who comes to town next week? Then you're going to Tuscaloosa.
The rematch, yeah. They've had
what kind of schedule is that?
Yeah.
That's a tough schedule. Arkansas is good. Let's talk about the Hogs a little bit. You know, our founding guy Jacob, he's on Hog Talk, and I talked to him some through the week, and he's big time Arkansas basketball, baseball. If Arkansas had a pinochle team, he would probably be promoting them too. He is into everything Arkansas. How do you feel about them? Like where they're ranked this year? I like where they're at.
I think they're underrated. I think they should be top 5. They have, in my opinion, one of the better wins with Cincinnati. I know Cincinnati's breaking in a new quarterback, but Luke Fickell's still one of the best coaches in the country. They have KJ Jefferson. They got Malik Hornsby. They have a really good defense with Bumper Pool. You look across the roster, and I know they had a really good team last year, and Arkansas beat them last year, and they're even better this year. I think they're one of the few teams that you don't have any questions marks with them. With Mississippi State, you don't know if they're going to show up with Leach, or Ole Miss, you really don't know how they're going to act with Dart. I think Arkansas is, especially with how A&M looked after Appalachian State, I think they're the favorite even over Alabama at this point. They've impressed me a lot. Yep. They're an experienced team. They always seem to get up and play for Pittman. And, the schedule's kind of setting up for them this year. It's going to be a really interesting schedule for them.
Coach Pittman was now we'll pick a coach of the year just for the show, just to have fun. Coach Pittman was our coach of the year, man. I like this guy. He's an old school guy. He's from the Midwest. He just feels like, to me, he feels like my uncle or something, like some guy you go hang out with and go fishing and go get a chew of tobacco and you sit around and just shoot the breeze, and he would just be fun to be around.
He looks like he knows how to spritz meat. I would say that's been my kind of comparison. He looks like he knows the perfect time to put that meat probe in. He just looks like a grill master.
Did you say the SEC media days where he kept talking about the slobbering hog, the statue out there?
Yeah, he is. They always say coaches kind of take on the personalities of their team.
Yes.
He's the perfect match for Arkansas. I don't think Arkansas fans have to worry about him leaving for Nebraska. I know that one's kind of been the pipe dream for Nebraska fans, but he's probably going to stay at Arkansas until he dies, if I'm being honest with you. He's a perfect match for him.
Yeah, since we brought that up, I mean, it is news. News is news, and it is kind of new. Frost being out at Nebraska, and personally, I've never liked them. Moving up to the Big 12, the Big 10. I've always liked them being in the Big 12 with Texas and it's Oklahoma. God, I mean, dude, that's just it would be like Tennessee moving out of the SEC. You're like, what? Why would they? Or something like that. Now, as far as hiring a new guy, the night they lost, I put up a meme. And I had a picture of Coach Freeze from Liberty, and he's on the phone, and I just put something like, "Hey, he's going to be gone this week. Are you ready?" You think Freeze may be back in the game to come to big school again, or?
I don't think Freeze. I think they're going to try and throw everything at something stupid like Urban Meyer or John Gruden. And I think he's going to tell them no. I think my kind of dark horse guess has been Stoops out of Kentucky. Because they've had a lot of problems with admin. I know he kind of butted heads with Calipari. I think he's taken Kentucky as far as they go. Levis, I think, is leaving this year too, so it'd be a perfect time to jump. That, or I think Turner Gill would be another good fit too. I know he kind of disappeared. Just another former Nebraska guy that can get in there. I know he didn't have the best of luck at Kansas, or
who does, man?
Yeah, I was just saying it's been. I would love to see Turner Gill. I would love to see another Nebraska guy get in there and get a chance. I think that it's going to be very easy to sit here and go with the unethical choice like Urban Meyer or Hugh Freeze or somebody like that, but I don't see how you succeed at that job. I mean, they dominated so well because they recruited Texas so well, and now they can't pitch that they're going to play in Texas ever. They play they don't have very many marquee games. Like, I don't think you really get excited about playing like Minnesota or Wisconsin if you're a recruit, and that'll be kind of interesting. Yeah, they need somebody like almost like Mike Leach at Mississippi State, where you got to find somebody that does something a little bit out of the box. Yeah, that's what I said. Like, he's perfect for State. Yeah, because they're not going to
even have a box.
Because they're not going to compete with recruits, with Ohio State, Michigan, OU. They're just not going to compete with from a recruiting standpoint. So they need to kind of find somebody like, I think Dan Mullen would be a good fit too, because I know he kind of thought outside the box at Mississippi State. But again, you got to worry about Dan Mullen jumping ship, firing his agent in the middle of the season, like he did when Kirby Smart got hired. He's a wild card, yeah.
He is a strange guy. Mike Leach, on the SEC Media Day, he come out and just said, "Hello, everybody doing okay? Questions." He didn't do an intro at all.
I remember that. He said like 7 words, I think.
Yes. He just basically said, "Hey, how's everybody doing today?" And everybody gives a spiel of, okay, here's what we're going to do this year. And it kind of answers a lot of questions before they ask. I've been to those kind of sit downs we do a media day here at our local for our high school kids. So we kind of let the coaches talk out. Okay, this is who's starting and this is who's gone. And, he just come out and said, how's everybody doing? Questions. So he's definitely a strange guy. I agree with the coaching ideas. Tillman, I wonder if they go, because I think Freeze is just very happy at Liberty. I think he is. We have a local kid that played out here at Cherokee County. He's enrolled there. He plays there. Tyron Dupree. He plays defense. So we keep up with him because of him. And I think he's happy. I do. I think he's happy out there. I just kind of put that out there.
I mean, I know he kind of got a bad rap with Ole Miss and the stuff with the strippers, but I really don't think that was what Hugh Freeze was. I know he's a very Christian man. And yeah. I think, kind of the boosters maybe pushed him to do some stuff that he doesn't like. But, being at Liberty, I don't think there's as many distractions. You can kind of just sit in the woods and be his own self. I don't picture him leaving to go to Nebraska. I mean, Nebraska's just a toxic job. I feel like he would kind of fall into a lot of the same habits he was at Ole Miss, where win at all costs type stuff.
I just don't. You have to. Okay, look. You have to recruit. Let's just be honest. Okay, Joe's on the field, make plays, and that's just how it is. You got to have dudes. And Nebraska, I like the quarterback, Thompson. Have you seen him play?
He was at Texas, but I know AU was recruiting him pretty hard too. And I watched him a lot last year with Texas just because it was very easy to watch Texas because they were so bad. But
I like him, man. I think he's had good numbers.
He's just not a winner. That's the part that's so weird. Is he makes plays, when the game doesn't matter, but he just doesn't have that X factor. And I think that's. I mean, there's nothing wrong with not having it. I don't think Haynes King has shown that he has it this year. He just doesn't seem, when the cream rises and it's 2-minute drill, he'll bonk it off somebody's head and throw a pick. Or when, they're up 2 scores against Oklahoma State and they need to get a first down, he'll overthrow the guy. He just doesn't have the X factor.
Their poor defense. They've lost, consecutive games by 7 points or less, just like the world and the whole world's longest nation. I mean, the record to lose that many games consecutively by less than a touchdown. So the defense they just let things get behind them at weird spots, in the game, and they wind up losing the darn game. And so
it's almost like flipping a coin and just flipping it and always getting heads. Like, it statistically shouldn't happen. Like, you shouldn't statistically lose as many games as they do by 1 score. Like, you got to figure they have to go one way. But man, Scott Frost just was snake fit with his luck.
I mean, when they first hired him, I did. I kind of, I like the guy, but well, I don't think Jimbo's going to be going anywhere after all the money that they've hiked up to pay him.
I was going to say, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, that's the part that's so weird to me about the Appalachian State game. They lost by 3. Appalachian State's probably going to be one of the better teams of Group 5, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of – I mean, they almost beat North Carolina. Jimbo just needs to kind of go out and get, I think, a hot shot offensive coordinator. I think that was where A&M was the best, was when they had Cliff Kingsbury. And I think that's kind of what they need to go out and do is, Jimbo is a masterful recruiter, and I think he's masterful at finding and identifying talent among coaches just because, the defensive coordinators that he has. But I think he has to kind of take a step back and understand that, maybe his play calling isn't his strong suit anymore. And furthermore, he could almost ramp up his recruiting efforts and almost be like, I know Herm Edwards was a flop at Arizona State, but almost like Herm Edwards at Arizona State.
But Herm is Herm, man. He's an OG goat. He's been doing this for about as long as I was born in 77. I mean, so Herman's been doing it for a long time. And the thing is about getting NFL people now, so used to back in my younger times, you just that never happened. Colleges recruited within, and it was about money because NFL could pay so much. Well, now that's not the case, man. These college teams can pay big bucks.
Yeah, I mean, if you just see the buyouts, that's the part that's even crazy. Some of these buyouts are, salaries of other things. But, I know it's probably a pipe dream because Joe Brady doesn't want to go back to college. But if I'm Jimbo Fisher in the offseason, I'm calling Joe Brady with a blank check and saying, I'll
Yeah,
take care of recruiting. I know you didn't like recruiting. I know you like scheming. I'll take care of recruiting. Because that's the part that's so frustrating is they have the athletes in place to have an elite offense.
they
It
have the
just,
money.
they have the money to. And the part that's kind of weird too, and I think it's a unique situation. It's almost how Georgia was last year, where there's, they've never won it, so there's all these expectations. But at the end of the day, like, it's not. I mean, Nick Saban goes 8-4. The sky's falling, probably going to get fired. But
Now,
if
me,
Jimbo goes 8
I'm okay with that schedule. If we win 8 games and we get to go to a bowl game and we have beaten Tennessee or Auburn, and we go to a bowl game and we play whoever and we win. See, for me, I'm old. And like you could ask your parents, I guess, if you watch old Alabama football, that's how the seasons were back in the day. And look, so many of these young cats for Alabama fans are just, if we do, it's title or bust, baby. That's terrible. That's a bad
yeah,
mindset.
and
It's just,
I
it's
don't
not
think Jimbo's
realistic.
going anywhere. No, that's the other part too. Is if he's still 2 years removed from being the fifth seed in the playoffs, winning the Orange Bowl, barring them going 3-9 or something like that. I think that he's going to right the ship. I think he's one of the best coaches in the nation. I know I always get clowned on for saying that because he seems to be the popular punching bag. But if he can figure out the quarterback situation, they have talent everywhere except the quarterback position, and they have a ton of talent at the quarterback position. I mean, Jimbo pretty much had Cade Klubnik in his back pocket because both his parents went to A&M, and he chose Connor Weigman over Cade Klubnik. So it kind of makes me think that Connor Weigman's going to be really good in the future. But you got to figure it out. They always say, someone with 2 leaders is having no leaders. I think Jimbo kind of needs to end the controversy. I think that's going to be his biggest kind of thing that he needs to do this week is in the controversy.
Well, he definitely don't shy away because he'll tell a guy to, hey, go look in his closet. You think he's God? Well, go find about his skeletons. Y'all all
Yeah.
think he's so goddamn great. Well, you just find out about him. And I mean, and I knew as soon as I heard that because I know their relationship from years ago.
I don't think it was malicious either. That's the part.
This is not unusual for Jimbo to jump hot like that on Nick. Dude, I asked some guys when they were trying to run pro stuff way back in the day, 20 years ago. This happened on the field. Old players you could look up some old players that played for these guys. This happened on the practice field once a week. Jimbo and Nick are just freaking dog cussing, hat throwing, busting heads. They're both insane because they're both alphas and they both want the control. And Jimbo's trying to run this offense and Nick's trying to run this defense. So as soon as he said that, I laughed. I didn't think it was a big deal, but the media has nothing else to talk about because it's off season. It's boring. Oh my God, we got some clickbait to put out there on Twitter so we can get some so they can go troll everybody and have news to talk about. Really, I mean, that's basically what it was. If this happened in the middle of the season, like if this happens tomorrow,
yeah, I don't think it's a story.
Nobody's talking about it, man. Because those two guys, they still respect each other. They have they have homes on the beach.
Aren't they from
together.
Really close in West
Yes,
Virginia
they grew up in the same
too?
town. This is not. I mean, people that know them and Bob Stoots, Bob, they have a house next door. All these guys live on the beach together. So Jimbo's definitely not afraid of altercation. We knew that at Florida State when he had to deal with crazy Squinting Winston, which he did get eye surgery this week, so he's not squinting and Winston.
He looked
anymore.
pretty good too. And I know we're a college podcast, but Winston looked pretty good.
He did. I like the kid. He's from around here, just about 2 hours south
from
of us.
Right?
Yeah. I watched him play a game. He's just watching him in high school. I knew. I watched Cadillac play up here at Etowah County before he went to dude. Yeah, you just know when you see kids play, they're just way better than anybody you've ever seen. I watched Trent Richardson play high school down there when he played at Florida. It's just different, So
yeah, they're freaks. I remember when I was a ball boy in high school. I'm gonna show my age a little bit here, but we played Lufkin in high school, and Des Bryant was getting quadruple teamed and jumping over people. It's just insane how much better athletes some of these college kids are. And then furthermore, it's even crazier when they dominate in college against, elite level talent at that
and
level.
Then they go pro, and like Des
and then
Bryant,
they dominate there, yeah, like
Hall of Fame. Des Bryant,
yeah.
I mean, Des is going to be, he's a Hall of Fame type guy. So anyway, Jake, we've kind of went through this game and talking about, we'll review this week. They play Miami. We think it's going to be a good test for them. I'm really excited about this game, and I'm pulling for old Jimbo in our conference. I think Cristobal gives him a great game. I'll just make this up off the top of my head. Let's see, 36 and 5. See, they go over under. Do you like over 70 for the game?
I don't, if I'm being honest with you.
I think it's going to be a little lower, like a 38 to 20 or something.
I said 27-23 was my prediction. A&M's defense in the red zone, for as bad as they've been, they seem to kind of get off the field in the red zone. I think there's going to be a lot of field goals.
23.
And if we get 27 points, I'll be pretty impressed if A&M scores 27 points, because they at times haven't looked very competent, even going back to last year at the Ole Miss game, and especially on LSU. I know it was a different quarterback with Calzada, but I think they're going to come out and be aggressive. Well, he's injured too. That's the other part. His shoulder. I think he still has the shoulder injuries.
Calzada does.
Yeah, because he got pretty injured kind of at the end of last year, and he played through it. Just because I think the only one that they had left was Boast, who was a walk-on, because their other quarterback, Eli Stowers, I think also had surgery, and he was a tight end, and King being injured. So it'll be really. I'm rooting for Zach. He's a tough kid.
I'm gonna say, score-wise, I'm gonna assume that. Man, I don't know. Okay, A&M we've seen them play a little, and Miami they've played Bethune and your local elementary school football team.
The Brett Favre school, yeah.
I don't. So, and Brett Favre's in some trouble too. I ain't gonna get into that, but maybe all that works out. And we don't know all the details. People come out and say a lot before they know everything. It's just shoot, aim, ready, But anyway. Yeah, they're going to need 28, I think, to beat Miami.
And I could see a backdoor cover, too, at the end, where it's very, very low scoring in the first half, and then it just kind of turns into a shootout, kind of like Alabama A&M last year. I could see that one as well.
It just worries me. I know you're worried about it, too, more than I am. Dude, they only got 2 touchdowns against App State, and then I'm sitting here to say, well, they're going to score 4 touchdowns.
And one of them was a kickoff, Miami, too, so they really only had 1 offensive touchdown.
Bro, I'm worried. I mean, what the heck? I mean, did they just go to sleep, or did they have a bad day of practice? Did they underestimate App State, and App State come in prepped? They've been practicing for them all summer.
I don't see how. I mean, that they should have beat North Carolina. That should have woken you up. I mean, I don't know why they probably played that Michigan video probably 100 times in the locker room. I just don't see how you show up flat. I mean, there's such a finite number of games too in a college football season. You only get 12 games guaranteed. And to come out as flat as they did,
man,
I don't know what it was.
Dude, if they lose to Arkansas next week, people's going to go, well, Arkansas is pretty good. You can't lose to App State. Bro, what are you doing? They can't lose that game. So,
no, I mean, I don't even think they can lose this game against Miami this week. I think this is about as must-win as you can get for a ranked.
Yeah, who needs this game more?
A&M definitely. I think Miami. I don't think an ACC team makes the playoff. I think their kind of big thing is as long as they beat Clemson, I think they win the ACC. Because I mean, NC State almost lost to their first game. They don't really impress me that. I think they're going to lose to Mississippi State this weekend. I think this game really doesn't mean that much for Miami, but this game means everything for A&M. If A&M loses this game, I mean, Jimbo's seat's going to get a little hotter. But if A&M wins this game, they're going to be right back in the mix.
And not only win, now they need to win by more than 27-23 to me to make the media go, okay, Jimbo, I see you out there. I think it needs to be like a 36-13.
You think they need to dominate?
They need to whoop up on them to make – they need to, check up on that and make sure that Cristobal knows, don't ever come out here no more messing around with you little pretty boy Florida, you orange and green, you Sebastian Stortberg. Yeah, come on off of that. This ain't 1993. You ain't got Gino Torretta no more.
Speaking of that, I forget what year it was, but there was one year where A&M lost to, I want to say Louisiana Tech, and it was very similar game. I'll have to look it up later. And then they went and rolled through the the Southwest Conference. This will kind of show the age of when this was, and that was their only loss of the year. And I think that'd be pretty cool to lose to Appalachian State by 3 after only having the ball for 19 minutes and then just rolling through the SEC.
Well, no,
I don't
let's
think
be
that'll
careful.
happen at all. But
let's be careful, Jake. Now we got to be careful here because you know that your A&M Aggies already picked to win the national championship, right?
I mean, we have the blank trophy.
I mean, you know they're picked. You did see Desmond Howard on the first game day, right?
Yeah, did he pick Pitt too?
he picked A&M to win the national championship.
I don't think this year.
Desmond Howard, a normal human being, I don't think he does drugs. I've never heard any bad rumors about him. I don't know. He looks like a clean guy. I watched him play college football. Why would he say that? You know, I mean, like, why would you?
I mean, they have the talent. I mean, on paper, I mean, it's almost like Texas being good. Like on paper, A&M has the talent to be a national contender. They have first round talent. I think they're probably gonna have 2 or 3 first rounders thrown a lineman just because I really don't follow offensive linemen. Next level of the NFL draft. But they've had Bryce Foster out. I know that's not really an excuse for losing to App State, but from a talent standpoint, if you're just looking across the line and you're like, okay, receivers versus anybody, I think they go toe to toe. I think that just the quarterback play, they got to get more out of their quarterback play. That's the only thing that's missing.
The problem.
That's a bad problem to have too.
That's what I'm saying. So why Dez could say, now if A&M went to like the playoffs last year, or maybe they only lost like one game, and maybe they even played for the conference championship, I could see a little idea of, dude, you're going to take a team that's lost a couple of games last year, and you're just going to go out and win the national championship.
Yeah, but it almost seemed like an entire offseason of, it was Calzada's fault. Our quarterback got injured and we still win 8-4. Our quarterback got injured and we still beat Bama. And I think that a lot of people kind of expected more out of Haynes King. I think statistically, I think he's the worst SEC quarterback. Like,
well, just tell us how you really feel about it, Jake. I mean, don't hold back.
I mean, that one's not an opinion. I think from a stats standpoint, I think he's statistically the worst quarterback in the SEC. And I don't even think they really need to get Johnny type production out of their quarterback. I think their quarterback just needs to play like TJ Finley at Auburn or Dart at Ole Miss. He just needs to manage the game. And I kind of harped on it earlier. I think that's why Max Johnson is going to step up. And because they don't need to have somebody that slings the ball 400 yards. They don't need, Bryce Young to dip and duck and get them out of spots. I think that's the part that's kind of so crazy is they're so close and they just need marginal quarterback play and they'll be good to go.
Yeah, if somebody can just manage the game and, on 3rd and 6, we can throw a nice little slant route across the middle and hook it up and get down the field and run the ball. Dude, a chain is off the chain. He's great. We love him. He's always been in my top 5. I'm excited. I'm excited for this game for A&M. I like them to bounce back big time. I think they handle Miami by 10. I think they cover on the points this weekend.
You think they hit the over too?
No.
That's a steep over for A&M.
Yeah, I'm with you on. I'm just probably like 20, like you said, 26, 36. That may be where I'm at, something like that. Yeah.
I'm trying to think back to last year. I don't think they've scored 30 points in a long time.
No, they probably hadn't. They've always just kind of kept it close. And
I think Missouri, like in the middle of October. Would be my guess, just off the top of my head. But yeah, I don't expect them to score 35. But they don't need to. They have a really good defense.
I'm going to see how. I'm just curious how Van Dyke and how the corners do, and some of those young guys you mentioned earlier that's coming in and getting some playing time. They're going to be tested. Van Dyke can sling it around, and Cristobal and their staff, they're going to do a good job. It's going to be a good game. It helps that it's there. 12th man will be hollering, and Reveille will be on the field.
They sold it out. It's sold out. They're advertising StubHub tickets for it, but yeah, I think it's a Denver Harris coming out party. I think Jimbo tore into him for his Fast and Furious parking incident. So I think it's going to be Denver Harris. Denver Harris, I think he's going to have a big game.
I'm writing them down. I'm going to get back with you. We need to do this more often, man. We need to hook up, at least once a week or every other week and keep I want to do this, honestly, since, I wanted to do this since I'm SEC all. I want to do this with all the guys. Like through the week, have a Georgia guy, have a Bama guy, and let them, and it promotes you and your channel. You see what I'm saying? And tell people where they can find you at. And we can build a real brand and build this into, I don't know what it could be, I'm excited about doing it. And like I say, this is kind of part of my job, and I have another job that I do, but it's just what I do, and I enjoy doing it. And we've been doing it for a while, and I enjoy helping, especially younger guys that are trying to get into this. I just do. Maybe I'm a fool, but I enjoy helping young people to try to get into something and breaking through. So don't let me hold you up no more. I know you got a busy day there at the house working and stuff. Jake gets to work at home. He works for a tech company out there in Texas. So it's great to sit down and talk to you, man. And I will be sending you some more invites. This guy knows what he's talking about. Go over on Twitter, and you can do tell them where to find it. It's primetime_.
Here, I'll get the exact one here.
It's like TANDM, like TNM or
TAMU. Primetime_TAMU.
TAMU. Yep. And he's always got stuff going up on there about scores. So if you're an A&M fan, there's no reason not to go over there. You can find me at Big Matt 1977. I'm Primetime_ACC, and we're all in this group together. So, yeah, we look forward to it. And hey, man, have a good Friday tomorrow. And I'm actually going out of town this weekend, so
I'll actually not be at that Miami game. I'll be at the San Diego State Utah game. I'm pretty excited about that. Never been out to the Utah Stadium, so
that's a beautiful place. I have been by there. Beautiful, beautiful place. Well, don't let me hold you up. And again, dude, I had a good time. I hope you did too. Hope we get to share a little news for everybody. So this is it. Big Matt signing out for the locker room. Another great special here, Primetime Sports Network. Jake from Texas A&M Aggies taking on the Miami Hurricanes this weekend. Look forward to that game, and good luck to the SEC. And we appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much, everybody.